The episode opens up with Dr. Jane Foster telling Black Panther and the remaining Avengers that the Cabal did not kill Captain America and the rest of the Avengers. She reveals that they were teleported far away. The only good news that she has for them is that she can teleport them to the same location, claiming that the only thing they need to do is pull their tether, which will be their lifeline once they teleport. Before everyone is teleported, she reminds them that they only have one shot to get back home, and that they should not pull their tether until they find the Avengers. Ant-Man is the first one to gather his bearings. He finds himself in what looks like 1930s New York. However, this time, Arnmin Zola fathead ass is running the place. He realizes that he might not be in New York, but rather a world where Arnmin Zola is running the show. Before he can spend any more time exploring the city, he notices headlights heading his way. He quickly jumps into action and shrinks his body before jumping on top of the car. He claims that he needs to find the missing Avengers and figure out how Arnmin Zola has managed to seize control of the city. Unbeknownst to him, the car he is on top of is being driven by Hydra soldier clones. Sometime later, Ant-Man finds himself in another location surrounded by the Hydra. Meanwhile, Hawkeye and Black Widow try to take down the soldiers on their own. When Ant-Man notices them, he immediately makes use of his nanosize and begins knocking the Hydra down. This gives Hawkeye and Black Widow a chance to hide behind a van and wait until the firing stops. While Ant-Man is busy knocking another Hydra down, he does not notice a soldier creeping up on him. However, before the soldier can attack him, Captain America comes to the rescue. By this point, the four of them begin taking one soldier down after the other while covering each other's back. Once the fight is over, Hawkeye asks Cap if he has managed to get his hands on what they came for. Captain America confirms that he has and heads to their hideout. When a confused Ant-Man asks him what is going on, he responds by saying that they are on a free planet known as Dimension Z. It used to be free until Arnmin Zola took control, which would explain the posters all over the city. He reveals that the Avengers were captured once they arrived in Dimension Z, but had escaped. Ever since then, they have been running a guerrilla campaign to take Arnmin Zola down. Hawkeye explains that Cap has found an antenna for them that they can use to communicate. As soon as he hears this, Ant-Man tells them that they no longer have to worry about finding a way back home since Dr. Jane Foster has built a tether to teleport them back home. Just as he presses one of the buttons, he realizes that something is off since none of the Avengers look happy about being able to go back home. When he asks them why they are not happier, Captain America explains that Arnmin Zola Ugly Ass has the entire planet under his tyrannical rule. It is up to the Avengers to help free the people of Dimension Z before they can even think about heading back home. Once again, Ant-Man claims that he can easily shut down all of Arnmin Zola's electronics and put an end to everything, but before he can hit the buttons again, Captain America stops him. He explains that Arnmin Zola has wired himself into everything, including the people of Dimension Z. Black Widow tells him that Zola has planted implants inside everyone's necks, forcing them to obey his orders, otherwise he is going to blow them up. Cap claims that the only way to take Zola down is to cut him from the direct energy source. While they are coming up with a possible strategy to take him down, the radio begins to crackle. To everyone's surprise, they hear Zola through the speakers. He tells them that there will be no freedom for anyone in Dimension Z before revealing that this is a raid. All of a sudden, Hydra soldiers burst into the room and began shooting at the Avengers. All of them immediately take cover as the soldiers relentlessly shoot at them. Ant-Man shrinks himself and tries to take down the Hydra, but gets knocked back by a gun and returns to his normal size. Before he can get hit by a laser, Black Widow pulls him away. In the meantime, Hawkeye shoots an arrow at an android that Zola is controlling. Although the arrow explodes, it does nothing to him. As a result, Zola directs the Hydra soldiers to attack him, causing him to lose consciousness. With him down, the Hydra turns towards Captain America, who tries his best to shield himself away from the attack, but ultimately is electrocuted and loses consciousness as well. While Ant-Man was trying to get away from the attacks, his helmet fell off, and Zola grabbed it, saying that he was useless without it. He then tells the Hydra soldiers to capture Captain America and Hawkeye before planting a bomb inside the club. Black Widow only has seconds to react, and she grabs Ant-Man before jumping into the basement through a trapdoor. Just as they exit the building, an explosion blows the entire building apart. Ant-Man begins to worry that Hawkeye and Captain America need their help. When he tries to run out of the alleyway, Black Widow pulls him back and tells him that he needs to be more careful because Zola has eyes everywhere. She tells him that he needs to keep a low profile as she begins to dumpster dive, looking for something appropriate to cover Ant-Man's head with. Ant-Man tells her that he is useless without his helmet, but Widow reveals that she has read his file and knows that he used to be a thief. She assures him that he will come up with a way to rescue them, but he needs to be more discreet about it. On the other hand, Hydra soldiers take Captain America and Hawkeye to Zola's headquarters, claiming that they have been told to prepare the two superheroes for assimilation. Back in the streets, Black Widow tells Ant-Man that Cap and Hawkeye were probably taken back to Zola's headquarters, but claims that they still have not been able to find where it is. This takes Ant-Man by surprise since he knows that the Avengers are capable, but Widow tells him that they were too busy trying to stay hidden or protect themselves from the Hydra. Ant-Man then reveals that he finds it strange that Zola made a world on his own, but chose to stay back in the 1930s. Black Widow tells him that Zola was smart enough to go back to a world before Captain America destroyed the Hydra. This meant that he had an army that was willing to obey his orders. While Widow's talking, Ant-Man tries to find a Wi-Fi signal but notices that it is not working. This is when he immediately realizes that Zola must be using wiring for his network to actually work. Not long after that, the two of them find themselves in a sewer where Ant-Man claims that if they follow the wires, they will soon reach Zola's headquarters. Meanwhile, back at the headquarters, Zola traps Captain America inside a device and begins electrocuting him. When Cap tells him that he will never submit to his will, Zola uses Hawkeye as leverage. With him trapped inside a device as well, Zola starts electrocuting Hawkeye. Not being able to see his friend in pain, Captain America agrees to cooperate. Overjoyed, Zola pushes him back into the device and begins his experiment. At that moment, Black Widow and Hawkeye arrive at the headquarters and realize that they need to act fast before Zola is able to finish his experiment. They break through the air vents, but when Zola notices them, he orders creatures known as doughboys to attack them. Black Widow manages to free Hawkeye, and the two of them try to keep the doughboys away while Ant-Man works on creating a rocket. As soon as he is done, he uses Widow's guns to fire the rocket up, causing an explosion to destroy the device Zola had used to trap his consciousness into. Once the doughboys are down, the three of them rush to help Captain America and pull him out of the device. This is when they discover that Zola has merged with Cap, using his body as a host for his consciousness. Widow tries to call out to Cap, asking him to fight against the Control, but this proves to be useless as he suddenly claims, "Hail Hydra." They realize that Arnmin Zola has taken control of Captain America's body, making him stronger than ever. Zola then claims that this will help him create a new world in Dimension Z, where his word will be law. Frustrated, Black Widow tells him that nothing like that will be happening and rushes to attack him. However, as expected, she is no match for Cap's strength. Both Ant-Man and Hawkeye rush to attack him as well, but are easily overpowered. While they are trying to recover, Zola grabs a new, sturdier shield and attacks the Avengers. Hawkeye and Widow take the brunt of his attacks. When Ant-Man comes up behind him and tries to attack, he is flung across the lab as well. Ant-Man finds himself in front of a Hydra soldier and begins fighting him. This is when he notices his helmet, along with Hawkeye and Widow's weapons. He manages to open the locked door and grabs his helmet and the weapons before leaving. Outside, Zola tells Black Widow that he had always dreamt of being stronger than anyone he knew. His dreams have finally become reality because he is now controlling a super soldier who no longer has the morals that restrain his true potential. He then throws his shield at her, almost knocking her off the building. At that moment, Hawkeye joins in on the fight but gets thrown back as well. Just then they are about to give up hope, Ant-Man arrives and hands them their weapons before shrinking back to his nano size. He quickly climbs on top of Captain America and heads towards the back of his neck where the cybernetic implant has been implanted. When he unplugs one of the wires, Zola begins to malfunction. By the time he unplugs all of the wires, Zola's consciousness vanishes and Captain America finds himself back to his real self. Ant-Man begins to celebrate this win when all of a sudden, Zola returns to his original body and crushes Ant-Man. Cap tells Widow and Hawkeye to focus and reminds them that they have to stick to their plan. While Cap fights with Zola, Hawkeye activates an arrow and fires it towards Zola's implant. However, things don't go as planned because the arrow stops just before it hits his cybernetic implant. The superheroes begin to lose hope, but this is when Ant-Man makes his presence known, revealing that he is still alive and in his nano form. He deactivates the implant, causing Zola to explode. Cap then assures the people of Dimension X that he has freed them from Zola's control. While they celebrate being liberated from a tyrannical rule, Ant-Man activates the tether and teleports all of them back home. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.